Are you looking for a great way to warm up for your squat day and hit a new PR? Well, this warm up I'm about to show you is the best warm up that you're gonna find to get you ready to optimize your squat performance. Let's get into it. Hey there, Smitley here from Thirst Gym, and when it comes to having a great warm up to optimize your performance, what you're doing before you actually go to the bar can make a big difference. It's gonna help prepare your body for the loads that you're gonna be handling for those squats. So this warm up that I'm gonna show you is one that I have used personally with a high success. It's gonna take you about 10-ish to 12-ish minutes to do. It is very thorough. There are certainly things that you might be able to skip or opt out for you because there are a lot of different options from being able to warm up, but this is going to unlock things every step of the way to not only improve your mobility, to help you feel better, but to prime your body to lift the most amount of weight possible for your squat. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is a simple breathing drill. And again, I kind of mentioned this in the bench press warm up. While the breathing drills aren't sexy, they are effective at improving mobility and preparing us for the soft tissue work and the other things that are coming. So I like using the blast straps or TRX straps. You can also use just a regular pole, it does not matter. That the goal here is to get in a good quality deep squat position and breathe in and get our upper back to open up, but also and get our low back to relax. So the key thing here is just to get everything ready for everything else we're ready to do. So I'm just gonna take these here. I'm gonna have my feet around a narrow position. I'm gonna squat down, knees are gonna come forward, arms are going to reach. And all I'm gonna do from this position is just inhale through my nose, exhale through my mouth, and relax. Now another option you have here, you can kind of wiggle side to side as you're doing this. See if you can kind of open up those lats, QLs a little bit. Also some options, but again, just feet are flat, inhale, exhale. And I feel my low back really opening up there. So again, I would just do this for anywhere from about 5 to 8 breaths, and then we'll move on to this next step. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do some quick foam rolling or some self-myofascial release. Now again, I've talked about this as well. You don't have to spend 20 minutes on the foam roller. I'm talking about a minute or two at the absolute most. We're gonna focus on specific areas that we need to squat. And so we're gonna start with our glutes. So we're just gonna start actually sitting on the foam roller, and we're just gonna roll that up and down our hips. If you happen to find a tight spot, you spend a little bit more time on it. But other than that, you really just want to see if you have anything that's kind of feeling it for the day. If not, then you can actually cross your leg over, get that piriformis going as well, and then you would just switch sides. I would just do my other side as well. I then like to go down my lower body. So I'm just gonna go down to my hamstrings now. So I'm gonna prop myself up all the way up into my hip and back down. So I'm just gonna go back and forth about 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 times at the absolute most, and just see if there's anything that I'm kind of feeling. Then from this position, we're gonna go straight into the adductor. So adductors are important for when we squat. We wanna take our leg, we wanna rotate it in towards the side, and then we're just gonna go back and forth. You can also apply some smashing, so you can take your hand, apply it on your legs, get some more tension, make sure you're getting those adductors warmed up well. And then we're gonna go right into the calf. So same thing, I'm gonna stay on the same leg, I'm gonna cross my leg over, and I'm gonna roll that all the way up by my knee, trying to focus on different portions of my calf. Ankle mobility is huge to make sure that we can sit back and also allow our knees to travel forward. And then once we've done that, then we're gonna go into the quad complex. So we're just gonna stay here, start at the knee, all the way up into the hip, and back down. We're gonna roll back and forth. Again, finding those spots that are being a little bit more finicky or a little more troublesome. You can go different angles and just make sure you went all the way up into that hip as well. So as you can tell, that only took me about maybe a minute on one leg, and I do the other leg, and that's all we really need to do to prepare our lower body to squat. All right, now that we've got the foam rolling done, the breathing done, now we're actually gonna do some mobilization. So we're gonna work through some different ranges of motion, get our hips really opened up before we really start to activate and actually get into some quality movement-based stuff. So the first thing I really like is a couch stretch. I think every powerlifter I've ever met pretty much has tight hip flexors or tight hips in general. So what you do is you take your ankle on a box, bench, doesn't matter, knees right underneath your hip, make sure our pelvis are underneath us. With our front leg here, we actually want to try to pull ourselves forward. So you might feel your hamstring on the top leg, and then this leg that's actually on the box, we actually want to create a small glute squeeze. So squeeze your glute, feel that stretch up here, then inhale, exhale, relax, lean forward. Let it open up a little bit, give us some good quality rocks. What you don't want to do here is you don't want to extend to try to get that hip flexor. You're gonna lose everything here. We want our ribs stacked, pelvis underneath this and pull us forward. That's really going to get that iliopsoas complex. So again, just a couple breaths, hang out here. You can lean sideways, you can twist, you can do some different things to open that up. Just don't extend through that back, and then you're just gonna do both sides. So this should, again, maybe only take 30 to 60 seconds. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is what I like to call leg lowering. And so you're gonna want a band for this, but you can also use a wall or a rack as well. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna mobilize each hamstring as well. So now that we've got the hip flexors done, that should actually let our pelvis kind of be underneath this a little more. So now we can optimize how we're actually gonna mobilize our hamstring. So the sequence is somewhat important here. So you're gonna take the band, you're just gonna place it around your shoe or your foot if you happen to be barefoot. You're gonna hold on to that as a lever. And then from this position, you're gonna bring this up to whatever position you want. I usually recommend starting around 60 degrees or so. Chances are you don't need it all the way up to 90 degrees because you're probably not that mobile. 60 degrees seems to be a good spot for most people. We're gonna start our other leg next to it. The leg that's not in the band is gonna be the one that drops down. I'm gonna feel the stretch in my hamstring on the leg that's got the band in it. I'm gonna bring my leg as low as I can, but my back has to stay flat. I shouldn't be arching to get my leg to the floor. Back is flat, abdominals are slightly engaged. Drop that leg, feel that stretch, and then come back. Toes are pulled towards your face. Quads are also slightly engaged, so they're not completely relaxed, but you do want to make sure you can kind of feel your quads just a little bit. You're going to do about 8 to 10 reps, and then switch sides, and same thing, 8 to 10 reps on the other side. So that's going to mobilize your hamstrings. That's gonna set us up for the next part in mobilization that we do. Okay, the third mobilization that we're gonna be doing is a adductor mobilization with a weight. Now, kettlebell to me is more comfortable. You can use a dumbbell, doesn't really matter. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna be in a half kneeling position, take our leg, pull it out. So we're in a half kneeling position here. We're gonna actually get both adductors. You're just gonna feel, depending upon your specific tightness, whether you're feeling your up leg or your down leg, but you probably will feel it a little bit in both. Foot's gonna stay flat here. You're gonna hold on to the kettlebell. And then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna rock this way, trying to make sure my knee stays out. I'm gonna feel my adductor on the downside, and I'm gonna start to feel it here up in my groin, really up towards my pubic symphysis area on this side. So I'm gonna rock back and forth, trying to get a little bit further. Each time really trying to open in that groin up, using the load to help push me further into that position, because this is about where I'm gonna have to be to hit 90 degrees of squat, right? So this is gonna get that ready for the squats. And then we're gonna do the same thing. This side, this is my bad hip in terms of mobilization in history. And I'm gonna row back and forth, same thing, trying to get a little bit further every single rep. So here, again, personal preference, 8, 10, 12 reps on each side, enough to feel kind of fluid and mobile on each one. And we're gonna do the last mobilization. All right, this is the last mobilization we're doing. It's a 2-for-1. So we're gonna do 2 things with the same drill. So I call these hip switches. Some people call these 90-90 shin boxes. You'll see them called different things, but it doesn't really matter. It's the same freaking exercise. So you're gonna start with your feet out. We're gonna drop one knee to our ankle, and then chest is gonna come towards our knee here, reach across, and we're just gonna go back and forth, really trying to open up glutes, hips, and a little bit of rotation as well. Getting better hip and internal and external rotation with both sides. So this is a personal preference thing. I say about 8 to 10 on each side is kind of a sweet spot. My left side is definitely worse, so I usually spend a little bit more time on my left side, but I'm still going back and forth. Then once we've got our 8, 10, 12, however many you're choosing to do, now we're gonna make them active with hip extension. So what that's gonna mean is after I get a couple reps going in, I feel good, I'm gonna come back here, and I'm gonna come up into extension, and then back. Roll back, up into extension, control, go back. So now I'm gonna get my glutes involved, still opening that groin up, still working on improving my mobility, but now actually using this to load my glutes and actually get a little bit more active range of motion as I flex those glutes in that top position. So same thing there. Again, you can do about 5 to 10 reps on each side. Again, all personal preference is enough until you feel good. Now that we've got that, now we're ready for the activation and the part that's actually gonna get it right to squat. All right, the first activation or activity-based drill that we're gonna do is gonna be a Copenhagen plank. Now, the reason I love the Copenhagen plank is it gets our adductors working and contracting. I do think this is a very big weak spot for many athletes, just having their adductors be happy and healthy. It's gonna keep your hips feeling really good, but the other great thing is we get a free side plank as well. So not only are we gonna get the adductors involved, we're also gonna get our QL and our obliques involved. That's really gonna help prepare us to stay tight underneath that barbell. So you just need a box, a bench, doesn't really matter. One foot's gonna be up on there, other foot's gonna be out in front. You're gonna be elbow right underneath your shoulder, pop yourself up here and hold. You can bring this up to 90 degrees if you want. You can have it out in front, hips forward, and we're just gonna hold this position. You can reach your arm across, you can reach it straight up overhead, have it out here. You wanna make sure that you're using that adductor and hip is staying forward. We don't want our butt back like this. And again, this is hard, you just move your leg further, or you can even go from your knee position if you need to build into it. I recommend doing about 15 to 20 second holds on each side, and then we're moving into the next exercise. The next one is super simple. We're just gonna do alternating body weight reverse lunges. You don't have to use any weight here. The goal is just to get some single leg work in and get our glutes, hamstrings, and quads moving through squat-based patterns. So we're just gonna go back and forth, just alternating as needed. Clearly, if you want to use a little bit of weight, you absolutely can. That's not a big deal. But I just usually do on body weight for about anywhere from 8 to 10 reps per side. Get my heart rate up, make sure I'm getting plenty of blood flow brought towards the legs and the muscles that are gonna be used as I actually go to squat. And then once I feel good, then I kind of call it quits. But again, if you want to use some weight, feel free to do so. All right, next exercise we're gonna do here is going to be the kettlebell swing. Now, to be honest, if you want, you can do reverse hypers here as well. It's kind of what I used to do whenever I competed. I would do more reverse hypers and the kettlebell swings, but I understand not everybody has access to that. I feel like a kettlebell swing is probably a little bit more accessible to most. But both are great, but really what I like is a dynamic-based, hinge-based movement. Get the glutes, get the hamstrings really warmed up, activated before we get ready to go squat and deadlift. So for the kettlebell swing, feet a little bit wider than our shoulders, and we're just gonna be explosive, hinging, trying to stay dynamic, throw it down, throw it up. So again, you only need to do about 10 to 20 reps of this, really just get things firing, and we're gonna move into the last exercise here before we're ready to go. All right, the final exercise that I really love here is the hanging leg raise. Now, the reason I like this is it's going to work through flexion and extension at the hips, and that does a great job of opening everything up before we actually squat. So, you know, I like to use my straps here from Elite FTS. You can just hold on to the bar if you really want to. It doesn't really matter there, but you're just gonna hold on here. And you can do knee raises, leg raises. It's really up to you. You can do a combination of the two, but really just trying to get as high as you can. Open that back up, get those abs working. And we're gonna go through a big full range of motion here. Like we got everything warmed up. Again, if you want to do the knee raises, then you'll curl up a little bit more. Either one is totally fine. Again, I usually personally like to do about 15 to 20 reps, enough till I feel nice and warmed up, and then I just go ahead and get underneath the squat bar. So, you know, this is a good quality exercise that kind of encompasses everything you need from a lower body perspective, gets the abs turned on, and again, you don't really need a whole lot of equipment other than a chin-up bar. So yeah, that's gonna give you the best damn warm-up to go squat. This is a very, very similar warm-up to what I used to do whenever I hit my all-time world record of 567. Now, I will say that I have tweaked some things along the way since then, definitely like adding some of the breathing drills. Some of the different mobilizations have kind of changed. This has evolved over time to something that I really like, and I think it's a great warm-up for a majority of people. It's gonna attack most of your weak points, and again, it's sequenced in a particular order for a particular reason. So the breathing's gonna open stuff up. The soft tissue work is just going to focus on any problem areas that you might be having. Again, just spend the time that you need. You don't have to do necessarily all four. I think it's not bad to do all four, but spend more time where you need it. And then you start actually mobilizing some things. Get the hips opened up, get the hamstrings opened up, get the adductors opened up, and then start integrating that hip musculature with the hip switches. I think it's a fantastic, easy way, bam, 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 4 things to immediately knock out in a couple of minutes. Then you just go into elevating your heart rate, using the muscles that you're going to actually use when it comes to squatting, and then you're good to get under the bar. It's a no bullshit response and answer to a way to get to underneath the barbell and activate and make sure that your body is primed for what you want to go do when it comes to squatting. So if you happen to like today's video, do me a favor, hit that like button, leave a comment, share with a friend, subscribe. All that really helps me. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you at the next video.